G'day guys, welcome back to In My Shed. I'm BC. This has been one of those accursed mornings where you fight trying to get a spring back into place, and about 2.5 hours later it just decides to go in of its own accord. Even the walking wounded lost a bit of hydraulic fluid. That's the way it is. I'll give you a quick look at the offending spring and what I had to do to get it in, and then we'll get back on to making the riding car. You would not believe how much time I've spent just trying to get this little bastard in. Of course, it's not as simple as it seems, is it? Underneath it is a mounting plate for the bush that the gear shaft goes up into, and all the screws have got different specified lengths, or they jam on things that move underneath. Good on you, Jones and Shipman. I even manufactured a wire noose to try and wind it up out of the item and put it back in, only to find that that's mission bloody impossible. So after losing blood and swearing for about 2.5 hours, I just put the pointy nose pliers in behind the eye, gave it 2 quick turns, and it bloody well went in. Okay, these things happen, but the grief it caused was enough to give you a little bit of film on it. Bye for now. G'day guys, back again. I'm BC. I decided to swap jobs. I had enough pieces taken out of my fingers by the spring and that tail stock to get the shits up with that job. And I thought I'd better be looking ahead a little bit, and I want this table up on the machine and painted enough to accept the accessories, preferably next week. So I thought I'd slip into it, and I just sprayed it with vinegar just now, and just amazed with the results. The rust is off, it's dissolved within a couple of minutes. You can see reasonable cast iron surface fairly well straight away. So I'll zoom you down, you can have a look at me being a bit of a scrubber. Right, I'll show you a little bit left here. I've just filled the bottle up again. So far I've used about 250 mils of vinegar, and it doesn't want to start. Come on, squirt, you bastard. This is just like a TV demonstration. I'll coax that back into life and bring you back. That took a little bit of coaxing. And I'll give this last bit I just did another bit of elixir if it didn't come up too quickly. But most of it just, wow. Give it a couple of minutes to bubble away. And at $2 a litre, 2 litres, sorry, it sure is cheap to use. That, by the way, is what happens when you leave it out for a while. It does tend to eat anything inside. As I found many years ago using acetic acid on getting rid of mill scale off some frames, don't leave the stuff overnight for longer. It just turns into black, thick yuck. Yeah, this is coming up really good. Now admittedly I have taken most of the yuck off with the degreaser, but when it came down to the rust, the degreaser was shifting it. It's just taken forever and a bloody day, and I don't have forever and a day left in me. Once you hit 70, you're on that banana peel going downhill, man. Yeah, look at that, left the bloody rust. Now this end I've only cleaned up with the scraper. And I'll clean it off with that and we'll see what the difference is like. Wow. I'll wash it up with water later, make sure there's nothing active left on there. Look at that for a magical clean-up. So to all those guys who are out there painstakingly restoring old TNC grinders, they seem to be having a bit of a flurry lately, well, according to YouTube they are. How many will actually get to making new tools or regrinding old ones, I don't know. But I'll soon do them on that. I just wish I had known about this a little earlier. That to me is just outstanding. Compared to the yuck up this end. And no, I am not going to scrape the ways. This tool will be pressed into surface fairly quick. Oh, fairly quick. Not at the rate I go. Anyway, I'll bring you back when there's more on the frames to do. Now, for all of you that in physics you're going to rebuild machine tools in the future, as a last resort, and the purists will hate seeing this. Just aqua fresca, bit of water, and this was once a sharpening tool, shape of a aircraft high-speed wing. Now I'm only doing this to see if the work that was done on the rest of the grinder with a ball peen hammer continued on the tables, and luckily it's just not picking up anywhere. So I'm looking for burrs, any little dings, but so far I would say that the previous user, I won't say own, the previous user of the machine didn't have the table off. Because I can't see any great damage. I can see lots of shite in here and lots of corrosion and the effects of 60 years of abuse, but yeah, one of these is good. I don't ever clean it or sharpen it because all I'm doing is feeling for any imperfections on the table. Now I know it's silicon carbide, and you don't leave silicon carbide grain behind on a grinder way, but I don't think there's much leaving the old stone. I'll just wash it off with a bit of water and then she's ready for a bit of protection. Bring you back tomorrow. Back again, fellas, look at the underneath of the top table, the swivel table, with a bit of battleship grey applied. The stainless steel wool and vinegar just tore the rust off here. I wish I had have known about that years ago instead of struggling along with degreaser. And I was in two minds as to whether I should paint underneath the table or not being visible, but it does stop a little bit of corrosion there. And then I thought I'd show you how rough as guts I do it and the reason why. You can mask up all you like and you can still finish up with a bit of paint higher than the surface you have masked, especially if you use high build fillers or anything like that. I just run around, and I brush all of my paint by the way, I just run around with the brush and paint as carefully as I can, and the next day I come around with an engineer scraper while the paint's still a bit plastic and it just peels off as easy as hell. And honestly, cleaning up with the scraper is a hell of a lot faster than trying to mask the bloody thing and then damaging the paint when you peel the masking tape off. But yeah, this paint comes from New South Wales, and man, it's good stuff. It covers really well, And later today, when the paint's dried off, I'll just run over the machined areas with a bit of 556 and paper towel just to stop it corroding until I get to the assembly stage. Okay, bring you back when there's a bit more exciting happening. G'day you lot, back again. I'll finish up this episode. Man, it's been a big job and doing it on your own is a bit of a stretch of what's feasible, but anyway, grinder's looking good again. He's got his top hat on. I had to wheedle around with the engine crane today to get it up there, and it was a bit sketchy, so I didn't get to show you any of it, luckily, but there she goes. It's got the swivels up, and just for next time I've got to take it off to clean it. That'll be the phone, Reg. G'day, back again. Now, where were we? Table swivels, you saw that happen. I've got cleaning up, and I couldn't clean the top of the table while it was upside down, obviously, and I wasn't going to rotate it twice, so I'm going to finish up de-rusting it and painting what I have to while it's up here before I populate it. But shortly I'll have the tailstock up. The next big job will be the workhead. I've got to clean that up because it's still pretty piggy, and paint the covers on both ends. I don't think I'll paint the whole lot. Clean up around the power plant, and then it'll be contact, hit the switch. Well, look, I hope you enjoyed this. It does get brutally boring when you rebed the machine tool, but it all has to be done. Later on today I'll get back in on the loco riding frames for the club car. I was swinging around to see those. We've got it mopped up reasonably well. Oh, there we are, tighten up a clamp, and that's got it with the buffer beams in, and we're starting to put the outriggers full superstructure, so I'll be tackling that up either later today or tomorrow, depending on how things go. Okay, if you would please like and subscribe, and I'll try and get another video out for next weekend. Bye mates.